Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to the Soundcast. The series is currently on hiatus, but we are coming here with a special episode, namely because we have the catalog scans that reveal our next Super Sentai series, the 42nd Super Sentai, and maybe 43rd if you're technically counting, Kaitou Sentai Lupinranger versus Keisatsu Sentai Patoranger. We're going to be discussing the entire catalog for the toy reveals, as well as our first look at the costumes themselves. In fact, I am joined by two special guests. So, me, as Lupin Red, presents the Lupin Blue, Darkon633. Hi.
We all know, though, that you're both blue and green.
And that voice you're hearing is our Lupin Yellow, Wheelchair21.
It's funny, because neither of you are leaders.
Let's get started with the discussion here. Not much else to really go with. Let's talk about the suits. Front cover of the catalog, as usual, features both teams. As we can see, we have Lupin Red, Lupin Blue, and Lupin Yellow for Kaitou Sentai Lupinranger. They are a team of thieves that are set to be created in order to track down lost Lupin treasures that are being held by the villains of this season. Overall, I'm really liking these designs. They got cool capes, like the color schemes, very Go Busters-esque in a lot of ways, and yellow has high heels. What are your thoughts, starting with Darkon?
I think the suits look pretty cool. At first, I was kind of thinking they were looking weird just because of the symbols that are on their heads. Over time, it has definitely grown on me, but I think it's going to turn out pretty cool. I do wonder if they're going to get the other two members, or however they're going to do it early or something, but so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
All right, Wheelchair21, what do you think of the Lupinrangers?
Well, it's funny, because what people don't know is Offset, I think, immediately I wake up, I go online, I message you something like about something work-related. Then, like, 5 minutes later, like, you still hadn't seen the message, and I message, oh, Jesus Christ, I just saw the Rangers, and my God, they kind of look really awful. And then I come back 10 seconds later, and I'm like, okay, wait, no, I got a clear shot of the Lupinrangers. They're the only thing here that look good. I hate the Patorangers. They look like crap. They look like trash. They look like literally 0080 in physical form. And I was like, this is astonishingly terrible. I think most of the Twitter fandom said that Patoranger looks like a throwback to early, like, 80s Sentai, which is kind of sort of right, because they used to like to use a lot of white, but I didn't really like it. I see a bit of the Go Buster-esque with their, like, chest piece and a lot of the black. From the first catalog, I do find it funny that it looks like the old Sentai DVD covers for CG, for the red Senshi. Like, he looks so CG. He doesn't even look like he's a suit on the front of this catalog. It's just so hilarious.
That's a good transition to talk about Patoranger, I guess.
Oh, yeah, you also do know about the stupid thing about the badges actually spell out verses.
Yes, I was going to talk about that when we get to the end of the catalog. So, for Keisatsu Sentai Patoranger, they're a team of police officers who are designed and dispatched in order to destroy the monsters directly, not so focused on the treasures, featuring Patron Ichigo, who is red, Patron Nigo, who is green, and Patron Sango, who is pink. So we are getting a traditional Sentai color lineup, just doubling the red. Like Wheelchair21 said, they're very, very not good looking. They're not appealing. They're kind of boring, and I feel like the Lupinrangers have this great kind of roguish look to them, where they very much so give off this Gokaiger-esque quality, where they're kind of rebellious and different than the normal thing. And Patorangers is kind of a more generic Sentai look that kind of reminds me of some of the Showa era stuff because of the white, but at the same time, they look kind of like bootlegs. They just look like bootlegs or an Indonesian tokusatsu. The helmets do a lot to pull these designs down. I kind of get what they're going for, but they look kind of cheap. It seems like a lot more work was done with the Lupinrangers. Thoughts from you, Darkon?
As for the Patorangers, yeah, they look really bad. at first I thought the Goggle 5 suits were bad, but they're a little bit worse than these. I still have to admit all that. But when you actually compare it to something maybe like Goggle 5 / Lights Rescue, I'm appreciating those suits a little more now after seeing these.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to page 2 of the catalog. This is the series overview page, which is actually the first thing we did see on social media. The series overview, basically there are 2 teams, Patoranger, Lupinranger. So it's being promoted as a double team series with the W representing double. Not sure why it's a thing in Japan. It just is. Point 2, the teams use VS vehicles to transform. The Patorangers use trigger machines, while the Lupinrangers use dial fighters. And basically the idea behind them is that the actual henshin devices are the mecha for each team. So, point 3, the VS changer is the same changer for both teams, except they use it in different ways. Point 4, the good striker, which is a carrier mecha, transforms for both a trigger machine and a dial fighter, and that's what is formed with the VS vehicles to make point 5, the overall mecha. So we're not going to discuss this page too much, it's just kind of an overview. Let's jump straight into page 3, where we start looking at the toys. Beginning with the VS Changer. This is going to be retailing for 4,200 yen and releasing in February 2018. It is a gun transformation device that features uses a VS vehicle to transform. It's going to be sold in 2 variations, one with the red dial fighter and one with trigger machine Ichigo, so you can pick either team that you want to start with. The first VS vehicle will attach to the side of the VS changer and then either flip up for the Lupinrangers or flip down for the Patorangers. When you flip up for Lupin, you have to actually dial in a code on the dial. It works like a combination lock to activate the transformation, while with the Patorangers, you pull it down and you pull the trigger, and that activates the transformation. The Patorangers trigger machines actually have the trigger for the henshin device. So overall, I love the look of this thing, and I love the double functionality, and I like the ability to choose which team to go with. What do you think, Darkon?
So far, at least in terms of this kind of gimmick, I think it's pretty cool, especially since you don't need to buy 2 different devices. Similar to what we see in things like Go-Onger and so on, where you actually have to get 2 full-on devices, even though it's the main team members and not secondary or tertiary rangers. I think I really like what's going on with the Lupinranger stuff. I see what they're going on with the Patoranger stuff, and I guess it's cool that we actually have the trigger working there, but once again, I still kind of like the Lupinranger stuff better just because the overall look of even just the individual mecha, which we'll get to a little later, but just looking at this one, it's still a little better than what we're seeing here. Since we're seeing a bit of the striker on the side, I actually like the once again, the Lupinranger stuff again, but we'll get to that once we actually see the next set of screenshots, but I like what's going on regardless. It's a pretty cool change we got this time.
All right, thoughts, Wheelchair21, go.
There's something wrong with the gun. If you notice in the photo in between the henshin mode and that, it looks like there's a completely different way that the Magnum converts, or it's probably just because it's like a weird little sensor bar over it. Like, it doesn't look like the same gun in the little circle. You guys recognize that?
Yeah, I'm looking at that, but I think it's
like it looks like it compacts or opens up or something like that.
It's looking like to me it looks like it's getting part of the details obscured by the gray product not final box on the image, but basically it looks like I think what's throwing us off is the fact that the actual connection point for the VS vehicles is on that side of the device, and then it either flips up or down depending on the transformation. So we're actually seeing it, it's the whole barrel section rotates. So the picture in the middle we're seeing is the barrel where it's up and down, while when you actually do either transformation, that barrel actually rotates completely.
Yeah, and I'm actually liking how the Magnum looks without the henshin device on it. Like, it looks like a clean, straight, nice pistol, whereas when you put the mecha, I guess you would say, for the gimmick, it just doesn't suit well. It just doesn't look nice. The gun looks like a small little pew-pew gun, where this thing looks like it's almost like the Magnums out of, what is that big freaking anime right now? Chrono Trigger or whatever? Kind of looks like one of those Magnums.
Psychopaths?
Psychopaths, maybe? Yeah, kind of reminds me of one of those guns.
Kind of reminds me of a Metal Hero Magnum.
Yeah, that too. It kind of does. The carrier-based thing on the right hand,
which is what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah, I was going to say it's weird. It's a weird device that looks cool in both modes.
Yep. Definitely different idea too. Speaking of different ideas, the Good Striker, which is releasing in early March 2018. The Good Striker is a carrier vehicle that can convert into the Lupinranger's Dial Fighter mode or the Patoranger's Trigger Machine mode. We're not exactly sure yet if in show this is going to be, there's going to be 2 of these in the series, so that each team has one, or if they have to trade off. It's kind of an interesting thing we don't really know. But it does convert from a plane into a car. It also attaches to the VS Changer. Basically, the Team Cannon formation for Lupinranger, you convert it into the Dial Fighter mode and attach it to the VS Changer, and that will allow the Lupinrangers, I think, to duplicate themselves for a final attack. While the Patorangers, they combine the Good Striker with the VS Changer, make a cannon, which allows the 3 Patorangers to fuse together to become Patoran Ugo, which is a fusion ranger of the 3 of them. Also in this part of the image, we can see the Dial Fighters and the Trigger Machines, because those will lead into the mecha, which we'll talk about next. So first off, we don't know the price on the Good Striker, but we do know it has sound effects built in. So should be interesting to see this. Thoughts on the Good Striker, starting with Darkon?
I'm liking once again what we're seeing. The vehicles for the Power Rangers look really bland, and especially when you look at the side with the actual baton, it just looks kind of garish on that formation. I like the fact that we actually have the mecha related item that actually combines with the weapon, because it's something that you've seen for actually some Showa seasons where they actually have some other device that becomes the weapon, similar to something like, not exact way, but how the Jetman actually used the car as a part of their final cannon and everything. So it's not like they were just using a weapon in general as a device that's on its own, which has no other purpose but just being a weapon. But this time it's nice to actually see a combination with the mecha, especially since if you wanted to just have the little gimmick vehicles on the side, you actually have something that you can actually play with if you just want to go with the role play rather than going with the mecha, so that you don't actually need it to be in a mecha formation if that's not exactly what your cup of tea is. But I do actually like what's going on with both of them. Both of them actually look good in their ways, but once again, just because of how the formation of the Power Ranger stuff, it's kind of bland compared to what you see with the Jet with the Lupinrangers.
All right, Wheelchair. Thoughts on Good Striker?
All right, Good Striker. Like I said earlier, both modes look excellent. I think that it complements the actual gun a lot better when you see it in the combined forms. I do think, though, the Patoranger connection to the rifle is a lot sturdier, looking like an actual shotgun or magnum, whereas combining it in the jet fighter aerial base kind of mode makes it just look like it's supposed to be like a cheap end crossbow. I feel like this time around, the Patorangers win this round in the formation to at least the gun, whereas the individual formation, it looks really good and nice. And knowing that it actually is the core of the mecha, it actually helps me understand how each 3-piece mecha actually, becomes our thing now. Because I remember looking at the first scan of the just basic catalog, the one that the preliminary shot, and I'm going, man, how does the jet and the police car turn into this giant torso and legs? Lo and behold, it's this attachment here that forms your mecha.
Speaking of mecha, let's talk about our 2 mecha to start the series. One being Lupin-Kaiser and the other being Pato-Kaiser. So Lupin-Kaiser is a combination of Good Striker, the red, blue, and yellow Dial Fighters, while Pato-Striker is a combination of Good Striker plus the Trigger Machines, Ichigo, Nigo, and Sango. They will be released, so all these items are released individually, so you can get each individual VS vehicle for 1,500 yen a piece. The Good Striker will be a separate purchase, we're not sure the price of it, but they're also going to offer 2 box sets. So the box set for Pato-Kaiser and the box set for Lupin-Kaiser. These are the main mecha for the series, and they're kind of the basis of everything. I think Lupin Kaiser is honestly the better looking mecha, because I think it has a very slim frame from the Good Striker, but it also has the very small and slim arms, and the consistency of the 3 dials for the dial fighters being on the top of the shoulders and on the head. Personally, I'm in love with Lupin Kaiser, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. Pato Kaiser looks a bit stumpier, a lot stockier, and I think overall just not as strong of a combo. It definitely is another round where I think the Patorangers lose out. And before I forget to mention it, we do not know the prices on the box sets, as I think we still don't know the price on the Good Striker, because they're still trying to figure out the price of those. And since they're coming out in early March instead of in February, that's details that'll get shared later. So, Darkon, thoughts on Lupin Kaiser and Pato Kaiser?
Okay, so looking at Lupin Kaiser, I actually really like how the chest formation is, and especially with the hat. I think that's really cool. I mean, you got the little hat design on the mecha, especially. This is very similar to what you see with Ninja. Even though Ninja's mecha were kind of 50-50 in terms of design, I did like the way how the shurikens formed these little hat designs on there and actually make them look very unique. And some things like the bison was pretty cool with that, and it's actually working pretty cool here too. It actually reminds me of something like another mecha series, maybe like a Brave-ish kind of. Maybe it's not so much a Brave, but I do like the way that it forms a little bit different than what we usually see. We have seen mecha in the past where the vehicles actually form into the mecha, but I do like the way that it looks, and it looks a lot more streamlined, since even when you look at other deluxe mecha, some things look really bulky and weird when you attach all the individual components, even for the standard original mecha, but this time it looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, once again, the Power Ranger mecha just looks really bland, especially just the way that it just doesn't look right to me. It's not a bad mecha design. It actually works for the style that they're going for, but especially when you look at the pink baton, that just sticks out way too much, and it looks very...
It looks like a sex toy.
It just looks very distracting. So other than that, I still like what's going on, and I would like to see actual prices of these before really saying anything else about them.
All right, Wheelchair, go ahead.
All right, here's the biggest problem I have, is that the mechas themselves look kind of like a mixed match of a Asian knockoff and a Bandai America toy. Because, like, when you look at the Pato Kaiser, it kind of gives me, like, that vibe of when, like, America did Shinkano, and they actually tried to give him actual legs, but then the arms were still kind of stocky and bulky, where you see, like, that bit there. Now, the thing is, I do kind of like the weird Dairuger-esque head to Pato Kaiser, even though it's supposed to, it's a car that forms it and not a plane. It just kind of gives me a weird Dairuger vibe. And I like at least the core chest of the torso. The legs are kind of weird. And as Darkon says, the baton is nice, but it does look really obnoxious. And I think it's just because it is the green vehicle. So, not the green, the pink vehicle, so it stands out. Had it been the green vehicle, I don't think it would have looked so abrupt. Because I've seen, actual police batons that are black. There are blue. There are brown because they just don't, it's just primed wood, green. There's at least some colors that make sense as to why a police baton would be that way. But bright pink is kind of laughable. Whereas the Lupin Kaiser, it's very nice, streamlined, as Sound Out said, with the sleek, slender build. The only thing I kind of hate about it is that it kind of really doesn't have hands. It sort of has a hand in the Gatling gun, but for the buzzsaw, there's not even a fist. Like, that's the weird thing, is where the one thing I like about Pato Kaiser is that he at least seems to have fists in the, the rear wheels or the front wheels of the vehicles, whereas for Kaiser, while he has the sleeker, nicer looking design, he has really no hands. And it kind of just looks stupid that he has no hands. And I think it's going to be hard to pseudo-enjoy the character or the figure or the suit on screen when you don't see it, like, able to grasp or grab normally, I feel like that Gatling hand is actually supposed to be more like the, Delta Mega hand, where it, can unhinge itself, unless, like I said, the little circle there is supposed to be really where its fist is. I don't know, but it's weird. Like, the mechas look very weird. I have, like, a weird love-hate for them. I don't know what to really say.
Okay. talking to the hands, hey, you gotta admit, it's better than Gigant Ho-Oh's hands.
Everything's better than Geek and Hollow Hands.
When I see Gigant Ho-Oh hands, I just think Fan Man from Mega Man.
Pretty much. Okay, let's talk about VS vehicles on page 4. We were kind of going into these already, but individually, let's talk about the vehicles. They're going to be 1,500 yen a piece. They're going to, of course, be the transformation device as well as the mecha pieces. They actually give us a great lineup of how each part forms into a mecha limb. But we're just going to talk about the main 3 Lupin VS vehicles and the main 3 Patoranger trigger machines. So just give some general thoughts on the individual vehicles, starting with Darkon.
Vehicles themselves, when looking at it, it's pretty cool. Although one thing that is kind of a drag on it is because I understand they're trying to go with the style, but you would think that maybe do a little bit more variety between the vehicles. I understand that they're trying to go with a little bit of a style there, but it is kind of weird to see that all 3 of the main mecha are flying vehicles for the Lupinrangers, and just all 3 of the Patarangers are all land-based vehicles. And while it makes sense, I think a little bit of more variety is definitely something that would be appreciated. But luckily for the Patarangers, we'll see a better shot once we get there. There is a auxiliary mecha that's a little bit different than what we see here, but unfortunately it's not the same so much for the Lupinrangers. Other than that, the vehicles are pretty cool. The formations on their own look kind of weird when they actually don't become the mecha right away. They just look like disassembled, kind of mistransformed, like messes slightly, but it is pretty cool what we're seeing so far. But really, that pink vehicle, like, it just sticks out way too much, and it's very distracting.
All right, Wheelchair, what do you think?
For the Lupinrangers, the actual jet and the VTOL transformation look like those weird, like, sci-fi satellite laser cannon things that you see in movies where, like, they're like, oh, hey, we're some kind of weird Predator drone transformer thing. And they look cool and sci-fi-y. The red one kind of looks kind of dumb. The actual Pato car looking like it turns into, like, some kind of, like, Jeep mode. I don't even think it has, like, a weird little mid-transformation mode. But it kind of looks cool. The green one looks all right because it turns like into like a weird little rifle or a scope, I guess, when it's supposed to attach to the gun. And then pink just looks like garbage. I think though having these maybe alt modes are supposed to be something like unique to them to help like attack and battle, and maybe be like an homage to Metal Hero, since most of Toei wants to make references to Metal Hero but not bring them back. If they're supposed to be like six Rangers or extra Rangers, I'd rather them not actually join either of these teams and be their own little faction, so we can have planes, trains, and automobiles. Because there was that joke I said to you a couple of episodes into Los Inglonables de Tokusatsu ago, where I said that I would love to see a crossover between Jetman, Car Ranger, and Tokyuger. So, like, hey, maybe instead of adding to Lupinranger and Patoranger, you make, like, some random crazy team that's, like, not cops, but, like actual, like, FBI or CIA or Interpol base, and they're trains or something stupid.
I dig. Let's move on to the first of the auxiliary mecha. Naturally, with the mecha being this inexpensive to start, there were going to be auxiliary mecha pretty quickly. So in early March, we're getting the VSV Deluxe Cyclone Dial Fighter for the Lupinrangers, which seems to be a double-bladed helicopter, which does have spring-out wings to be sort of like a CV-22 aircraft, but kind of not sure on that. And then the VSV Deluxe Trigger Machine Biker, which is a police bike that's got a transformation gimmick of a yo-yo. Not sure how that works either. So these are our first 2 auxiliaries. As you can see, they're continuing the air theme with the Lupinrangers and land theme with the Patorangers. But thoughts, Darkon? Thoughts?
All I can say is 2 things. 1, hello Boompaki 2.0, except you're a bike now. And 2, I am terrified because all I'm seeing is the Bandit America bike things that go with the, not Samurai, the Ninja Steel mecha, and that just gives me kind of horrible memories because those things look terrible when attached to mecha. It doesn't look as bad here, but it's got a lot of reminiscence to those terrible helicopter vehicles that go on to here, and it just looks really weird. I actually kind of think the Patoranger's auxiliary mecha looks better this time because it does have this really cool like weapon style thing that we've seen maybe like towards the Bumpaki, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm trying to think of another one of the mechas that we got. I think it was something from, what was it?
You're thinking of the elephant in Geki Ranger, dude.
Yeah, that's the one. He actually,
it was a mace rather than crap. I can't think of it either.
Yeah, so it became that mace weapon. So yeah, I see where it's getting on all that. And this time, I actually kind of go for the Patoranger mecha because that helicopter just does not look that good.
And with the compatibility, you should be able to just stick it on Lupin Kaiser if you really feel like it. Anyways, Wheelchair, what do you think of these?
All right, so before I found out it was actually supposed to be like a yo-yo / mace-like weapon for the bike, I legitimately thought it was supposed to be like a Warhammer, so I was like, yay, another Ankidon. Instead, it's a Bunpaki. Still, it's a freaking Koyuja reference. The helicopter, what it's in its attack mode, where it's supposed to be like, a VTOL, looks alright, it's supposed to be like a, Osprey or whatever. Looks cool, looks nice, but in its regular, weird jet blade thing, I don't know if it's trying to mow my lawn or just be a blender.
Yeah, trying to mow your lawn. That's the best description of that mecha I think I've ever heard.
You know what that means? Yakumo is gonna want it. Yakumo and his lawnmowers, because any Englishman loves his lawnmower.
That's true. All right, last little bit of this page of the catalog. This is a very long catalog. First up, we have the Itadaki Kaito Lupin Sword, or the Taking Thief Sword Lupin Sword. This is a 2,800 yen, releasing in February. It's a shared weapon between 3 Lupinrangers. So it's got a sword mode, and it's got a treasure claw mode, also known as magic hand mode. This is it's kind of a weird weapon. This one, I think it's not even a transformation. You just flip it over, and then you have a claw. I guess that's neat. I'm honestly thinking this is not one of the best. This is like not the best aspect of Lupinranger, that's for sure. Second.
No. The problem is it would be a great aspect if the toy was 1-to-1 scale.
That's very true. The second weapon is the Kakase Keibo amplification baton Pato Mega Bow, which is basically it's a baton and a megaphone in one. So it's all your police stuff you need right there. Megaphone to a baton. That was one of the rumors that I'm really glad turned out to be true, and it's got a bit of transformation to it, which is really neat.
Yeah, the irony about this is, as soon as I saw that shit, I was like, looks like Dukemon was right. And hey, we can make reference to Los Inglenobles de Tokusatsu, the previous episode, where Darkon actually mentioned it.
Yes, very good. Shameless plugging. Moving on down one step, we can actually see the Sentai Hero Series vinyls, which feature Lupin Red, Lupin Blue, Lupin Yellow, Patoran Ichigo, Patoran Nigo, Patoran Sango, and it's our first look at their fused state for the final attack, which is Patoran Ugo. This is not a 7th Ranger, it is a fusion of the 3. And basically, it looks like Patoran Ichigo with Sango and Nigo's arms. And yeah, that by the reaction Wheelchair21's giving me, I kind of agree. It doesn't look good.
Carnival! Carnival!
Yeah, carnival arms. Carnival arms, basically. But, it's actually the 3 of them fusing into one. So, there's that. And the last little bit on the bottom, there will be Candy Toy and Gashapon VS vehicles. And they're actually going to be a size smaller than the deluxe ones, and will feature no mecha transformation, but will still activate sounds in the VS changer. So for those of you that don't want the big mecha versions, which aren't too expensive to begin with, but if you just want smaller versions to activate sounds, that is an option. So Darkon, thoughts on this last page stuff? Talk about as much or as little as you want of it.
Okay, I'm going to say this right now. X-Aid would like to have his weapon back for the megaphone. If you think about it, it's just like the hammer sword thing. X-Aid would like to have his weapon back. Second, Bowcangers will also like their weapon back as well. They've done this before for both of them. They're very similar in the way that they work, and it's kind of sad that just how similar they are.
Wait, Bowcanger?
There was that one scavenger weapon that had like the claw weapon attachment.
What?
There's some scavenger weapon, if you remember.
Are you trying to talk about the red Senshi's main like actual staff and pick, like his actual like grip pick?
Yeah, I think that's the one I was talking about.
His actual staff.
Yeah.
Because all I see here is a katana with the vice grip from Juko B Fighter Kabuto as a handcuff now.
Oh wow, yeah, I can see that too. As for the vinyls, yeah, that fused form looks weird. I see what they're getting at. It's an interesting idea, but in concept, I don't think it turned out so well.
You think it might look better as a suit?
It might have looked better as a suit, but it's hard to tell because we barely even have like good suit shots outside of these magazine scans. As for the Lupinrangers, yeah, I really like how they're looking like. The cape design's really cool, but unfortunately, just as a little joke here, if Bad America ever made these, they're never going to have the capes. Knowing them, they're just going to completely scrap them like they did a lot of the Mystic Force figures, and it's really sad. In terms of the Gashapon stuff and Candido stuff, it's nice that they're doing that. I personally wouldn't care for it this time, since for once I might actually spring for the deluxe ones because they are very cheap this time. It's not like they're going to be overcrowded with a lot of mecha. Hopefully. I mean, I'm not going to jinx it.
Yeah, it's like this year. Why even bother going with Mini-Pla when you could probably get the deluxe shit?
This time it's very easy because they're very cheap. They're not asking for like an astronomical like 4,500 yen, 5,500 yen price. But this time they're going like 1,500 yen. So it's really cool. So it's nice for those who maybe just want the mecha, as Soundon mentioned. But yeah, this time I think it's better off getting the deluxe ones.
Is that possibly what they're doing here? Is not making big expensive mecha sets and like 2,500 yen auxiliaries for 6,000 yen base sets of mecha? Are they just like, let's make this more affordable and let's fuse the roleplay with the mecha so it's one line for people to collect, and let's make one team look like crap so people can skip half the line if they want to?
I don't know, because I think that's maybe the case, because a friend of mine was saying about like he found it very astonishing that like at one point Ami and Hobbylink Japan had still stocked the Q Voyagers, and so did his stores locally in Japan. Like they were saying that like the fact that they're in stock is kind of astonishing, since Q Ranger is being eaten up by Japan and by all ages. But the fact that there was such a huge stocking of these toys made it very eerie. That it felt like they went all out, thinking that this toy line would, I guess, be like super selling or something. Because like I just heard weird things going on that like Q Ranger, I think, overproduced, and maybe that's why they're needing to make their money back this time by making smaller mecha. Maybe
it's possible, and I mean also Q Ranger got really cost prohibitive after a certain point because they released like Q Reno and then 4 auxiliaries right away, and then they put out the Ryu Voyager and another auxiliary like less than 2 months later, and then after that, like 2 months later, we got Gigant Ho-Oh, which was really big and expensive, and then 2 months later, we got the gigantic Orion Battler, which is like this huge thing that I don't even have still because of how expensive it is.
Yeah, I have it. It's huge.
You got the Mini-Pla.
It's still huge.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like that mecha is
wasted
gigantic.
A lot of paint.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely a reaction to, Q Ranger's really popular, Q-Tama's really selling, but mecha are not moving because of the cost.
Like, I'm so interested in the deluxe line because it has, like, Metal Hero-esque, like, alt attack modes.
Oh, yeah. And the thing, too, when it comes down to it, I feel like when it comes to this this whole line for Lupinranger versus Patoranger, it's if you're just like, yeah, I'm hashtag Team Lupin, you don't even have to worry about like 4 versus vehicles and another weapon. If you just get every single thing, it's Lupinranger only, you got it easy. Like you don't have to collect half the line. But if you want both, it's still not that much more expensive because they let you double up with the Changer and the Good Striker. Like you're already having to buy 2 of the most expensive items. Basically, you're buying the mecha and the Changer, and they work for both teams. You don't have to buy, like, duplicates. Sure, you can buy a second Good Striker if you want both robots at the same time, but you can only just get one, and it's making this really affordable so far.
I really just want this goddamn katana grabber. I'm like, this thing looks so sexy.
I want the megaphone just because it's stupid and ridiculous, and I love it.
Oh no, it's stupid. I like the nightstick part. I don't really care for the. I'm like, I want awesome katana with a gripper on it. I'm like, I want this. It's sexy. It's amazing.
The only problem
I might just go make one out of foam.
The only problem with the katana is it doesn't even have any sounds to it.
But I don't need sounds. It's a katana. Yeah. I want to whack people with it.
It's a bigger weapon, and it doesn't have a transformation. Then the megaphone is smaller, has a transformation and sounds because it's a megaphone. If you didn't have sounds in the megaphone toy, you'd just be failing at life.
And as a made joke here, the Hong Kong version would be quiet as anything.
Oh yeah, Hong Kong quiet. Yeah, I was gonna say failing at life. Come on now, that's just Toei in general.
Sometimes it is, but let's go to the last page of the catalog. It's got a release calendar. We're not gonna go through all that because we already talked about it. The last page talks about there's 2 campaigns coming up. One in March, where if you purchase a Good Striker, you can get one of 2 VS emblems. The emblems for Patoranger and Lupinranger are an S and a V. So you put them together, it's a versus. The VS vehicles, all of this is meant to encapsulate the fact that these 2 teams are versus team. It's kind of a little bit on the nose. Most likely, our wonderful import retailers that aren't CS Toys will not be doing this campaign. CS Toys will probably get some of these. I'm not sure how many, and not knowing how much the Good Striker is, I don't know how much it's going to cost. And it sounds like it's supposed to be random, so even if you bought 2 Good Strikers, you're not guaranteed to get both emblems. Personally, I'm just probably going to pick up the Lupinranger emblem off Mandarake in a few months. I don't know. More importantly, the April campaign, if you buy any of the VSV series, so that's any of the 1,500 yen versus vehicles, and I think the Good Strikers include that too because it's part of the VSV series. If you buy any of those, you get a mini VS vehicle, which is compatible with the VS Changer and is combinable with the other mecha. Not really sure what it is. It looks kind of like they gave it the silhouette of Lupin Red's Dial Fighter, but who knows if that's actually what it is. Gonna wait on this since I was planning to buy the Patoranger mecha later anyways. I may just wait till April and see if I can get this campaign item. But yes, quick thoughts on the campaign if you got any at all, starting with Darkon.
Nothing seems big this time. I'm just glad they're not doing things like the lock bottle, because that was a really dumb move on Bandai's part, especially since it was kind of an important form and kind of important pool bottle from what I can tell. But so far, it's just like, oh, okay, it's easy. It doesn't seem like anything like super major this time, so that's good this time.
And Wheelchair?
Get wrecked, son, because we all know that black silhouette is really just a stand-in. It's not supposed to probably be the jet. It's just a stand-in, like their mock photo of saying, hey, guys, this is our little thing. We're going to use the jet as the little teaser image of what could be the next image, since we're really marketing the heck out of Lupinranger. So it's probably going to end up being like some mecha that people are actually going to want, and then they're going to be like, no, it's a campaign. Oh, no. I need it. Oh, no.
Based on past Sentai campaigns, I kind of see this being a repaint of one of the mecha we already have, kind of like how Cube Panda was. And yet Cube Panda still caused like a huge problem for people trying to get it if they didn't get it in the campaign. And also, like we gotta say, the catalog it's preliminary. We gotta remember that the Q Ranger catalog that advertised the Oguma Q-Tama campaign showed that there was going to be an Oguma Sky Blue, and that Koguma Sky Blue would use the Oguma Q-Tama to become an adult form. That never happened. He just became Giant Man. So things could change, and we'll see what this mini VS vehicle might be. If it's just like, oh, you get a free Candy Toy VS vehicle, then I don't need to worry about it. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's going to be DX compatible, but it's called a mini VS vehicle, so who knows what will happen. And that brings us to the end of the catalog.
It could be a blast buggy.
It could be a blast buggy. A Lupinranger compatible blast buggy. So that brings us to the end of the catalog for Lupinranger versus Patoranger. Final thoughts from Darkon.
So far, I'm like what I'm seeing. The overall idea is really cool, especially when you saw the trademark. There was a lot of questionable things going on all around because we had no idea what was going on. Actually, seeing the toy scans is a little bit more hopeful. But to be perfectly honest, if Power Rangers ever gets adapted out of this, I fear how they're going to market that, to be perfectly honest.
This is probably going to be the Sentai that would actually kill Saban, aside from how Ninja Steel is doing.
Saban's going to kill Saban. Well, actually, no, Saban's fine. Saban will kill Power Rangers. Power Rangers' greatest enemy is Saban Brands.
Because I'm not going to lie right now, looking at the toy line, I don't see how this toy line would be marketable in America.
I feel like this would get skipped. Like, they'd go with, they pick Q Ranger, and then they pick whatever's after this.
Exactly, because I feel like Lupinranger's aesthetics, or at least the toys, would not be good for America. And there's probably, like, fans already who are, like, in love with Lupinranger and saying, by just listening to your video when this goes live, going, Wheels is wrong, man. Saban would skip this. This is an amazing toy line, Go Buster. And then it's not going to happen because there's no way they're probably going to be able to spread this material out or enlarge the toys to make them, like, worthy as a mecha. Like, when you look at these mechas, I feel that, like, the mecha, when you combine them, is going to be no bigger than, like, a Voyager. Like, you know, a regular Transformer Voyager. So that's, like, 7 inches, right? Like, that's what I feel is going to end up happening. Like, they're going to be, like,
I feel like they're going to hit the 8 or 9 inch range.
Yeah, because, like, I feel like they're going to be, I feel like they're going to be smaller than, like, me looking right now across the room at my, you know, Dino Charge Megazord or my Terra Charge Megazord. Like, I feel like it's going to be between a Voyager class and the actual deluxe Megazords of today.
And the thing is, too, is Bandai of America has a hard time selling individual mecha in the United States, and this line is completely dependent on selling individual mecha. And that's just, it's not gonna, it wouldn't work in America without a lot of retooling. But overall, you know, we don't even know if Power Rangers is going to make it long enough to get past Ninja Steel, so we're just going to enjoy Lupinranger versus Patoranger for what it is and see what happens in the future. I'm definitely really liking this. I love the logo for the series. No one talks about the logo very much, but I think the logo is fantastic. I love how the Lupinranger has some crazy colors. It has different crazy colors to it. Wild text font. While the Patoranger is very standard Sentai, very streamlined, very police-based. It's kind of like we're giving off the vibes. I think another reason why we're attracted to Lupinranger is they're kind of roguish outlaws to the Patoranger's very streamlined cop appearance, where they're, you know, the rule followers, while the Lupinrangers are the rule breakers. I think part of the reason why Gokaiger has been a very popular Sentai series for many years now is because of that roguish outlaw kind of vibe that you get from them, which it's different than the usual Sentai, which I think attracts a lot of people. So hopefully this series will be very successful. I definitely think that it's great that Toei is starting to get more experimental and more creative when it comes to their Super Sentai shows. The first 40 years, they're all very similar in the way they do things. They're all unique in their own ways, but they followed the Sentai formula exactly for the most part. Q Ranger was like, all right, we're going to change things up. We're going to throw out 9 Rangers to start, bump it up to 12 before the end of the series, and do a crazy plot line and just go nuts. And I think that for this team, they decided, all right, we're going to do 2 teams. They're going to fight each other, but we're going to start with 6 Rangers. So it's still different. Mecha are 4 components from the start instead of just like 3 or 5. So a lot of cool stuff here, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Series is premiering on February 11th, 2018 at 9:30 a.m. Japan Standard Time. So look forward to more of this series in the future, and we'll get more catalog scans. When the second quarter scans pop up, I think we'll do another special soundcast, and we'll discuss those as well. So, closing comments from Darkon. How can we find you online? What are your projects you're working on? Let us know right now.
Okay, you can find me on YouTube under Darkon633. Same thing with Twitter and Instagram. And you can also find me working articles on both Hero Club and Hirotaku.
All right, and Wheelchair21, what can we find you doing nowadays?
Other than rolling around and thwarting plans. As pretty much one of the founding members of Hero Club, you can check me out, at least trying to make sure the site's working in the background while Darkon's writing most of the content for the site. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube at Wheelchair21. On YouTube, I mostly just do random toy reviews and Doyle's DVDs, where I look at DVD and home video releases. As well as you can follow me on Instagram at Taja_Doyle. The story of that is because someone kind of had the name since Instagram launched, and the guy never even used it. And I've tried to file for a claim of, getting the thing, but unless I want to shell out, like that weird, the $150 certification to be registered with the little check mark on it, I can't be Wheelchair21, so I have to use my pen name as Taja_Doyle. Whereas for Hero Club in general, for all of us where we work at, you can follow us at Hero Club for Life all over various social media accounts.
All right, and of course you can always check out new videos here on Send Out 12. The Soundcast may return periodically. It is not going to be on a schedule by any means, but I can definitely say we'll probably be talking about Lupinranger and Patoranger in the near future. So be sure to subscribe and keep track of things here. Also check out Hero Club for breaking news when it comes to new Sentai stuff or any other projects. And stay tuned for the future. Until next time, this is Send Out saying goodbye.